see the service safety and recreation?
I knew there had to be something because they
Did
weren't.
we do that?
Right, and that's it. Okay, and then I'll
Right
give you
in
a
the
copy too,
Okay.
in case he has it.
That's fine. I just saw it here and then I realized it was 7:30. To make sure it didn't just like lose 15
It worked on us.
That way.
I know.
Kelly, turn on the,
It's already, I have it. I already have it. You're good.
good evening, Washington Courthouse. It is 7:30 PM on Wednesday, December 13th, 2023. Time for our first regular meeting of this month. At this time, Mr. Hawk will give us an invocation and Mr. Chrisman will lead us in the pledge. And if you're able, please stand.
Heavenly Father, this evening I thank you for creating us. I thank you for the comforts of life that we enjoy in our town. And I thank you that we have so many privileges here. And I pray that you'd help us as we conduct business tonight, that we would do things according to your will and for the best of the people that live here. And I pray that you would help us to do it with camaraderie and enjoyment. And I ask this in your name. Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, Kelly.
Schultz,
Here.
Blair,
Here.
Chrisman,
here.
Hawk,
Here.
Hernandez, Johnson,
Here.
Lynch.
Here.
I'll move that we excuse Ms. Hernandez from tonight's meeting.
Second.
Okey dokey. Roll call.
Schultz,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Chrisman,
Yes.
Hawk,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes, she is at her son's Christmas program. And I told her that's more important. Support your family. Anyway, we have the minutes from November 20th, 2023. Do we see any mistakes, changes? I didn't, but sometimes I miss things.
I don't see any mistakes.
If not, does someone want to?
I will move that we accept the minutes as printed. Second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Schultz,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Chrisman,
Yes.
Hawk,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes. Next, we have a public hearing to the rezoning of lot number 6 and lot number 7 on Rawlings Street from B3 to R2. Do we have anybody that wants to speak about that rezoning? So, Mark, do we need to do something official?
No, you don't need anything right now.
Okay. Very good, then we will move on. Communications, Mr. Denon?
None.
We have a Finance and Personnel Committee report, and it's even red. Merry Christmas, Mr. Blair.
Well, ho, ho, ho.
Go for it.
The Finance and Personnel Committee met in the City Council Chambers at 105 North Main Street on Wednesday, November the 20th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Mr. Jim Blair presided, and those in attendance were Mr. Steve Schultz, council member, Mr. Caleb Johnson, council member, Mr. Jim Chrisman, council member, Mr. Dale Lynch, council chairperson, Mrs. Christina Collins, finance director, Mr. Joseph Denon, city manager, and Mr. Sean Remington, citizen. First, the committee benefited from a report of the statement of cash for the month ending October 31st, 2023. Second, the committee benefited from a report on the investments of the City of Washington Courthouse. Then the administration advised the committee that the Ohio Department of Transportation had closed the financials on the Court Street project The committee noted a balance of $80,000 for the project payable to ODOT. The administration reviewed the new community authority assessment option on the development of new residences. The committee recommended that the process and options be reviewed. Fifth, the committee noted that Mrs. Hope Newkirk had been hired for an open position in the income tax department. The committee then recommended that the administration proceed with the hiring of cleaning personnel for the police department. Number 7, the committee benefited from a review of the Human Resource Department. Number 8, the committee recommended that legislation be brought to council for the following board appointments: Mrs. Mandy Miller and Mr. Branson Moody to fulfill unexpired terms on the Board of Zoning Appeals. Mr. Steve Lewis and Mr. Eddie Fisher, reappointments on the Fayette Regional Planning Commission, and Mr. George Shoemaker and Mrs. Brenda Cottle, reappointment on the Tree Committee. Number 9, the committee noted open board appointments for the Fayette County Fair Housing Board and the Civil Service Board. Mr. Jim Chrisman moved, Mr. Blair seconded, for the Finance and Personnel Committee to go into executive session for the purpose of a personnel matter related to the need for a new finance director. The meeting adjourned into executive session at 3:35 p.m. Respectfully submitted, myself, Chairperson Finance and Personnel, and Mrs. Kelly Ford recorded the minutes.
Thank you, Mr.
Yes,
Blair.
sir.
Any questions, comments?
I don't know. You say the meeting was at 6? And
You're right.
we
No,
went
no.
executive,
No, that, you're right, it wasn't 6,
We went in earlier.
yeah.
No,
Thank
it
you.
I wasn't here, so I don't know.
They
Thank you.
changed, the
Yeah.
time is different, yeah,
Yeah.
Thank you.
yeah.
With that change, does somebody want to make a motion to accept those minutes?
I'll make a motion to accept them with those changes.
Second.
Roll call.
Schultz,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Chrisman,
Yes.
Hawk,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes. Mr. City Manager, you are up.
Thank you. Get everything moved.
Gather up your papers.
Don't be too scared. I'm going to wonder about enough. It'll be somewhat interesting, hopefully. Oh. First thing up, ordinance number 12, 2023, like to request that it be amended in Fund 510 in the sum of $141,000, adding $141,000. 510 is sewer, 500s are the 2 utility funds. Sewer is 510 because we had it before 520 water. The insurance claim that we have related to lightning strike at the wastewater treatment plant, 2 of the vendors, the insurance company paid us instead of directly paying them. So in order to pay them, we need you to appropriate the funds. So the motion would be to amend 510 to add $141,000, if you so choose to do that.
I'll make that motion to amend it.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Schultz,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Chrisman,
Yes.
Hawk,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
A little bit word about supplemental appropriations. Quite frequently, most frequently, we did one. I've talked about that with Ron, and probably what we'll do is switch to where we do that quarterly.
The supplemental appropriation you got before you, a lot of that is grant income that's been realized in the course of the year. That really does not represent what I would call particularly new spending. But it's getting the appropriation side to balance with what has occurred in real life. So that is not like you're going to spend an extra $1.2 million. Most of that just accounts for how funds have come in during the course of the year. You recently had the budget work session, and you should congratulate yourselves because, well, you haven't done it yet. Hopefully, you choose to pass a balanced budget, which is something that some government agencies much larger than us seem to have difficulty doing. Now, we shouldn't be too full of ourselves because unlike a federal government, if we tried to be unbalanced, eventually people wouldn't loan us money anymore. So you don't really have the option just to continue to head off in a direction without any real world break on what you're doing. The budget we went through, it contemplates expenses falling by a bit more than $3 million in total. We went over with you a number of things to try to explain where you're at, and we're going to talk about those a little bit more tonight. I handed you out another set of graphs, which actually you already have. This set, they're just a little bit easier to read. You know, every month I take Fund 100 and 101, and I look at those. Fund 100 would be the general fund, primarily funded by income tax. Fund 101 is, it replaced 5 voted property tax levies, so its appropriate uses are police, fire, street lighting, and the cemetery. That fund is solely funded by income tax revenues. That makes 101 almost a quasi-general fund. That's why when I do this for you monthly, I put them together. So you can look at over the past several years your unexpended balance in those two funds put together, which from an accounting standpoint, we don't ever look at it that way because they got to be kept separate. But for practical how this thing operating, it makes sense to put them together. That you've seen pretty steady gains. Now last year the gain was very small. When you project revenue and expenses, likely revenues and likely expenses till the end of this month, you end up with either a very small retreat or again a small gain in the tune of $50,000 to $60,000, which we might do a little bit better than that. Your next thing to look at, permanent improvement, which pays for a lot of hard stuff that you can put in the ground or you can pick up or you can feel, things like street paving. There we've had a very robust capital improvement effort. You've done a lot of things. We've purchased some property. Now that's come out of a variety of different funds, but you've been responsible about it, but we do need to slacken up a little bit on 402 because you can see that the end balance has declined a little bit. And you want to have a little bit of reserve in there for things that you don't expect. Water, you've done decently there. Now again, a property purchase has changed the end balance there, but that'll get either in December or January about $90,000 better when it realizes some grant income that we've already expended for the project. And then wastewater, you're gaining there, but you have the long-term expenses of the plan improvement to consider. And then the most important thing that we look at in terms of revenue, in terms of operations of the city and economic activity, is where you get the income tax collections sliced, diced, and dissected 5 different ways. Individual deposits, let's say that somebody's on a payment plan or they owe us money when they file. That's what individual deposits are. Net profits are the income taxes due corporate income taxes. And then withholding is the most important barometer that you have of economic activity, which has shown a lot of strength in the prior years. Now, this November was just ever so slightly less than last November. I think that you'll see a decent rebound and be happy with December. 22 was an exceptionally good year. So a little bit of variation up and down in 23 was almost guaranteed because 22 was exceptionally unusually good. And it'll be interesting to see if we start to return to what I call the stair-step pattern, where we would have a pretty decent gain in a year, and then the next following year we wouldn't lose ground, but it would be fairly flat. And then we'd have a year where we gained pretty decently, and then we'd have a year where it's pretty flat. It moved very much like a stair step for many years. So it'll be interesting to see if we return to that more predictable pattern. The budget that you have and the appropriation ordinance that funds that budget, again, expenses, there's an overall decrease there. There's a more concerted effort to move some financial burden out of 100 into Fund 101. Because remember, when you put Fund 100 and 101 together, you had last year a small gain. That's true, but what's occurring is that you had a small decrease in 100, but it was more than made up from robust performance in Fund 101. And generally, you want that to be a little bit more balanced, so there is a concerted effort to do that. We went through with you the capital improvements and where they're distributed. They're distributed between 402 and then generally water and sewer. You have the budget message, okay, which is the big long letter where I channel Alan Greenspan and bore everyone to death. That is important to look at and think about. Hopefully it's not too horribly dry, but it's a subject that's difficult to make, well, earth-shatteringly interesting. But generally, you know, it's a solid budget when you look at revenues. We tend to slightly underestimate our revenues so we don't get too far ahead of ourselves. And that's why I go through that revenue report that is, quite honestly, a bit dry and a bit confusing. And that's also why we went through the statement of cash for November, which was reassuringly solid. You know, again, when I project expenses for 100 and 101 through to the end of the year, you might lose just ever so slightly ground, although I can come up with a scenario where you still come out a little bit ahead, and I think that you're going to come out just a little bit ahead, which means that your income and your expenses in your fundamentally most important area are fairly balanced. You also need to remember there was a lot of expenses in 101 and 100 this year that are not recurring. Okay, like that. A good example of that would be switching out street lights to LEDs. And you had a lot of unusual expenses in fire. You know, very rarely do we have that number of new firefighters and the training expenses associated with that, and they had an unusual number of calls. So some of those things ought to return to a more normal pattern, and that ought to benefit in 24 Fund 100, but we shall see what the year brings. Would like to thank everybody that participated in the events downtown Saturday. The weather wasn't very cooperative, but you had a lot of people come out and enjoy themselves until it absolutely started to pour down rain. And it's a lot of fun that evening, and I end up walking from point A to point B a lot. So Sunday I was a little bit stiff, but that's a little bit of exercise, good thing. Would also like to note the rezoning on Rawlings Street. The administration is completely comfortable with that. We went through it at the Planning Commission and everybody seemed to be in agreement about what was going to occur there. Any questions?
Thank you. I'm laughing. Director of Finance, do you have a report? You just started.
You just started on me, so it's 3 days, don't have anything yet.
Give us a full report. 3-day full report.
Anyway,
I would like to say all of us have been spending a great deal of time with Ron, and it's moving along quite well and quite smoothly. And it'll be fun.
I have complete confidence.
But we'll ask you again next meeting, next month.
Mr. City Attorney, do you have a report?
I do not, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we have some local
What did I do with?
residents and taxpayers. First, Mr. Bailey, you wanted to speak. You would give us your name and address for the record, that would be great.
Hi, I'm Blaine Bailey. My address is 2001 Heritage Drive, Apartment 1. And I'm here today to speak about the issues of homelessness in our community and kind of just raise awareness to the city because it's obvious that there's homeless problems in our community. Maybe it's not really big, but it is a problem. And I've dealt with homelessness firsthand in this community. I was probably homeless here for about 2 years, and I struggled with drug addiction, and I was moving from house to house. So I know like all forms of homelessness. And so for me personally, it's a real passion of mine to do these things for the homeless. And I've met personally with, I'd say a dozen people in our community who are currently sleeping outside. So I'm doing whatever I can to help. I'm here representing McNair Men's Mission. It's a men's homeless shelter that we're building. It's in the process right now of being built. I've been volunteering a lot of time there. A lot of people from different churches have been volunteering their time there, and we're coming along really well. It's just the issue of I have to do my regular job and keep up with everything, so it's taking longer than expected. So our date to be finished was December 1st. So right now we're at January 2nd. It's just a thing about time. I just got to work my job. And I spoke with Jim Blair about what you guys may be looking for. And the big thing was like a plan of action. So the plan of action, I have like a whole group of people. I'd say right now 6 people specifically that are like directly making an impact. We're going to the camps, we're meeting these people, we're going outside under the bridges, finding them, talking to them. These 6 people, each of them have specific skills that help me. I mean, we all work together, but when I meet these homeless people, I come to them in a group. We have a group chat, and so I come to them and I tell them after I meet these people and I get personal one-on-one time, because as soon as I see them, I sit down with them and I figure out what's going on. Because usually when I meet these people, I find out within about 15 minutes of talking to them what's going on, and I feel like I know what I can use to help them, and I make the calls. These people immediately, as soon as I send the message out, they're immediately in their cars working towards helping these people. These are all people just donating their time, like no money, nothing, just the kindness of their hearts. So I guess me speaking here today is just to raise awareness for that, and also in hopes for gaining support from the city to further this and solve it. Because me personally, I believe that because of the people I know and the connections I have, at this point, we can come close to solving it, and I truly believe we can end the issue in our community. I'm putting in I get up early in the morning. I do that's when you find them the first thing in the morning when it's dark and cold. I'm finding them and meeting them. I bring them to the mission and try my hardest to save them. It's a tough job, and yeah, basically coming here looking for a way to get some sort of support from the city. It's like I said, it's not a really big issue. I've seen worse forms of homelessness in other communities, but it is an issue and it's a passion of mine. So that's basically what I wanted to talk about. Any other information, if anyone wants to contact me, if they see a homeless person or anything like that, all of my contact information is with Jim Blair, and he can let you guys know, give him my number. I can put him in my phone and then start working him into our group and then go from there. Personal one-on-one time at the mission is my main goal. That's what helped me, and that's how I feel I can help them. So yeah, that's basically what I want to talk about. Any other questions or anything, feel free, my contact information.
Mr. Bailey, I got one question.
Yes.
So, I guess in your experience, what do you think the number one cause of homelessness is in our community? Is it drugs? Is it, the addiction element? Is it more of the economic, angle of it? What is the number one contributor?
It's drugs. It's drugs. Yes. I've seen there's different forms from almost everyone I meet, but the main root is the drug addiction. But I've met people with mental illness that have no drug addiction at all, that are just sleeping under a bridge because they don't get along with someone in their household. So there's that too. But mostly, I'd say 5 times out of 10, drugs. I try to keep notes and keep record of everything and do my best with that. It's just hard with also keeping my job at the same time.
Yeah.
It's a huge passion of mine. I lose sleep over this, huge.
Mr. Bailey, if you find someone that has a mental issue, what's the next step? How do you reach out to get that kind of help?
So, okay, that comes back to the people in our group. There's actually a guy in our group who works with community action, and he has all those resources at hand. As soon as I get a hold of him and say, hey, there's this guy here, it's definitely a mental thing, he's gonna be like, okay, so I got this person, I can get a hold of him and go here, and we can just go from there. And yeah, that's where we're at.
I'll ask the city attorney this. Is that something that we could publish on our webpage, his name and phone number of contact for people that observe homelessness, and
We can cover them as far as food and warmth and even shelter to an extent. I'll take them to the mission. We'll do Bible study for 4 hours, and they'll be warm for 4 hours. That's what matters to me. It's just a matter of time and my job and everything. So that's why we're asking for
see that on
support.
our webpage. That information, is that something that could be done?
Probably could do that.
Could do that.
I would say so.
I like the point of contact.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And then
Yeah.
you got me, and then it's a spider web effect from there. As soon as I find them, it's boom, boom, boom. That's how I see it.
Most of these people you find that are homeless, do they have any family or anybody to turn to, or they do not want to turn to the families? The families don't want them.
Yeah, so one form is they're scared of someone in their family. I met with a 19-year-old over behind the Eagles. There's a bridge there, the trestle, and he has to wake up at 7 a.m. and he's not allowed back at his house until I don't know, I think it's 8 p.m. or something. So basically, he's staying there from sun up to sundown under this bridge because he's not allowed to be inside his house. So there's that kind of stuff, and yeah, it's a lot to do with family problems. I met a girl last night, as a matter of fact, with no family here. She moved here with her boyfriend, and she had a job at Walmart, and she just lost her job, and her boyfriend left her while she was working, and now she's under a bridge right now. I met her last night with her boyfriend.
Wow.
I go on walks every night when it's dark, because that's when they're usually, because no one wants to be seen under a bridge.
Some of these people, do they have any type of income?
Some of them are on some type of, rarely, sometimes they're on government assistance or something like that, but that's rare. Sometimes they're not even aware of anything like that.
Okay, okay. I was just wondering how they actually survive, you know, out there in the open like that, so, if, without any income at all.
So the way I did when I was homeless, I survived through the churches would give out food.
Right.
I survived through that. Sometimes I would know a person who would give me food, stuff like that, and that's probably what they're doing. And it's really tough because you're living your life based on someone else's emotions. And it's really tough. It's really bad.
In your opinion, how many homeless people do you think we have here in Washington Courthouse, or well, maybe just here in Washington Courthouse in the city? What would you estimate it at?
I met with a dozen personally, but I've seen more. I would, just homelessness in general,
Mm-hmm.
it's gotta be over 100.
Okay.
Homelessness in
Quite a
general.
few.
But that's not counting, sleeping outside every night, I
Mhm.
would say it's probably like 20,
Okay.
something like that. But just
Okay.
homelessness, sleeping on couches, things like that.
Okay.
And that's a form of homelessness because there's people out here who own homes who will take in a homeless person and use that to their advantage in all of the worst ways that I can't even really describe in this meeting,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Our understanding is McNair, when it gets up and running completely, you get open, it can hold 5 per night.
It's gonna be 5 per night, and they're thinking about doing a lottery type thing for the 5. So my heart can't really handle all that too much. So I was thinking so once we get the 5 in there, if it's a really cold night or if it's something serious, we're having Bible study in
There
the
you go.
sanctuary,
There you go.
and I'm talking 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah,
So
we
that's
mentioned
what I
that to
think.
the minister last meeting, and
Yeah.
they should just have an all-night service of some
Yeah.
sort.
So that's I already do.
Okay,
Bible
that's a
studies.
good plan,
Yeah.
to get more people off the street during a cold night.
Mhm.
Yes,
And it's gonna get colder, and
yes,
I keep all this in mind.
okay,
It's just great to be able to stand here and speak with you today because 2 years ago I was in a prison. So
okay. Well,
Mr. Bailey, speaking of that, I know that a lot of times, especially the higher risk aspect of the homelessness, the people sleeping outside all the times, not the ones who have a place to stay. Oftentimes, and obviously this makes sense because of the drugs and addiction, and you add in all these other problems, the mental health, law enforcement often goes out and makes a lot of contact, which, not saying that it's wrong or bad, but maybe the court system and law enforcement are not always the best first, I guess, and repeated interaction to have. It can cause a lot of problems, long term that way. Do you think that your group of 6 people making a first contact, maybe if people call into the city and complain about a homeless presence, do you think that giving your group a first shot to go out there and make contact would be not only better for law enforcement, because I'm sure they don't want to spend their time going out and feeling like they're tearing up someone's little slice of home, whatever little amount they have. Do you think that that would be a better way for the city to approach these things where people call in and complain?
yeah, yes, and I'm already dealing with those type of situations with police.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Been very informative.
Request, you'll recall that we purchased, meaning the city, purchased the home that Mr. Bailey is working on. Then we transferred it to a nonprofit. For practical reasons why they got organized, we're paying all the utility bills there. And they gave us a date of when they thought that they would be all up and running, and assuming that renovations to an older property won't go as planned, I think that they told us to the end of the year, and I told them that we'll pay the utilities till the end of January. which why they get organized, it's not a particularly onerous burden. Why don't we do that till the end of March? That gives them time to not only get done for renovations, but become a little bit more organized and a little bit more stable.
I think that's a good idea. It kind of gets through the cold weather too.
Yes.
Biggest part of the cold weather. I think that's a terrific idea, yes.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Martin. Again, if you would state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, I'm Sean Barton, 722 Brown Street, Washington Courthouse, Ohio. I'm kind of here with Blaine, but I've been certified by the state as a peer recovery supporter. I have a past. I think I know some of you up here, and Mr. Pickstick, I've dealt with you on the other side. But I've changed a lot, man. I've been involved with the Pathways to Recovery, and this is how this thing works, man. You go out, we get a group of us, 3 or 4 of us that are certified or, that want to help. And you go to these homeless camps or where you think homeless people are. And you were right. The law enforcement, that's not the approach. Because I would actually have to go out there and they wouldn't know these other 2 people. And I'd be like, hey, it's Sean Barton. And they'd start coming out. So if you get somebody on the same level as they were, like Blaine, for instance, or myself with a node past, I mean, it's just like, hey, I know where you're at, man. I'm just trying to reinforce that there is like we talked about, Jim, there is a plan of action. Like I said, the community action out here, man. The peer recovery supporter, these people don't know the things that are out there available for their help, So that's what you do. You guide these people to where you show them what maybe they need Social Security check, maybe they need a health insurance, this and that. These people don't know this, man. They've given up. I mean, you know what? If you had a bad day of work, I'm going home, laying in my bed, and just be pissed. But these guys, well, they got a bad day. It's even worse. They ain't got nowhere to go. And a lot of times it ain't their fault. It's a mental issue, and it gets overlooked, and they just get tired of being kicked and booted. And 90% of people are on drugs, but 100% of it's a mental thing because there's a reason why somebody picks up them drugs and this and that, and that's just it fosters, the drugs foster homelessness. That's flat out what it is. But I bring a certified side to this, and I've had a lot of experience, and I just want to kind of piggyback off what he said. And there is a plan, and I mean, I would like to take every one of them, put them in my barn, make it hot, whatever. You know what I mean? But I can't. But together we can. This is honestly, we can. Out there, it's not. It's because we don't see it from our windows, man. Don't mean it exists. Like I was telling Jim, I've never been to Texas. I'd like to go. I know it's there. Someone told me it's there. You know what I mean? I hear it's there, but I haven't seen it until I see it. Maybe I won't know the glory, or maybe it won't be splendor. Maybe it'll be something bad to me. But that's what I wanted to say, and there's a lot of people that's willing to get this thing up and rolling.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Okay, there's a person named Della Kesterkey that wants to speak to us.
It's been a while.
Yeah, come on down.
Thank you for letting me speak. My name is Della Kesterkey, and I'm at 1311 Farmington Lane, Washington Courthouse, 43160. I'm asking, a few months ago, I had mentioned something about a sign for a hidden drive, and I didn't forget about it, and I just kind of put it because other things have come up, and there have been a lot of other bigger issues, and so I had chosen not to speak at City Council about it or bring it up. I did mention it after City Council, the last City Council, to Joe, but some people had brought it to my attention that don't live in Quail Run, and they feel like it's really, they've almost hit cars, coming off of 41 onto Farmington Lane, and they've almost hit cars trying to pull out of that hidden drive. Had you all thought about that or talked about that when I mentioned it before?
I thought about it because I drive there every
Yeah,
day,
you
but,
drive. Did we do
it-
a study?
it's really, I don't think there was a study. As we mentioned last time, and you know very well.
Yeah.
It's so quick when you come
It
around
is.
that corner.
Yeah.
Really, it's
It
a
is.
tough situation.
But it's really dangerous.
Yeah,
I mean, it's really, really dangerous. And actually, somebody that doesn't even live in Quail Run had told me that they were turning into Farmington Lane to visit a friend down there, and they knew that I lived there, and that's why they had mentioned it to me, and they said they
Yeah.
almost hit the car coming out. I don't know what the answer
If you
is.
put, yeah, if you put a sign on Farmington, by the time you saw the sign, you're there.
Yeah, you're there. That's true. Yeah. If you're making,
I thought
it's
about
not
it.
hard when you're coming from
Yeah.
from the other way because you can see it. But the only thing that I thought of is there's a place there's a row of evergreens planted
Yeah.
that are high, and it's somewhere by that where the ditch is and where those trees are. And I wondered if it could go somewhere in there, in that area there. But you're right. I mean, and we've all done it. I mean, I myself included, coming from 41 and turning right into Farmington. I'm sometimes not even paying any attention to other than Farmington Lane. And so, but I do think that we would see a sign if a sign was there.
Yeah, the trees do not help you.
No, the trees don't help, but I understand. I mean, I don't think these people planted them because they're really tall.
Yeah.
But I do think that they are a problem. But again, then they would, the privacy and who's going to okay to take down those trees and who's going to pay to take them down, even if that's the case. So
What kind of sign would you put up?
Hidden.
the hidden drive sign, yeah, that's what you
We
would put
can
up.
look at that. It's a tough situation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Service has looked at it and, that involves another entity that it become a little bit bureaucratically complicated. But, well, let's just say I'll go ahead and expedite it.
Okay.
We'll take care of that.
It's,
Yeah,
I
and like I
wish they
said, if it
hadn't
hadn't
put-
been somebody that didn't know me, and they don't even live there, and they had mentioned it to me, knowing that I come down,
the plan for the house and where the drive is
was really poor. But you know what? That road might not have even been that wide when that house was built. I don't know, because I didn't live here then.
I think the first houses were down a ways. Gary Schaefer was one of the first.
Ah,
So anyway,
yeah, so
We'll-
I
we'll look
appreciate
into
that.
it, Ellen.
Okay, thank you.
thank you. Thank everyone for coming. Yes. Yeah, good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, we have some legislation to take care of. First is legislation previously introduced, and we'll start with resolution number R 44/2023, second reading.
I'll move we put resolution R 44/2023 on second reading.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay. Discussion? Roll call?
Schultz.
Yes.
Blair.
Yes.
Chrisman.
Yes.
Hawk.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Resolution number R 44/2023, a resolution authorizing Joseph J. Denon, City Manager of the City of Washington Courthouse, to apply for grant funding through the Ohio's Urban Forestry Grant Program, inflation reduction for community forestry programs, and accepting grant applications if funded.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Roll call?
Schultz.
Yes.
Blair.
Yes.
Chrisman.
Yes.
Hawk.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes. Next, we move to new legislation in writing, ordinance number 11/2023.
I'll move we put ordinance 11/2023 on first reading.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Schultz.
Yes.
Blair.
Yes.
Chrisman.
Yes.
Hawk.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Ordinance number 11-2023, an ordinance rezoning lot number 6, 211-014-1000-9743, and lot number 7, 211-014-1000-9744, Rawlings Street from B3 to R2, owned by JLB1 Properties.
Thank you. Joe, is number 12 the one we amended?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, we have ordinance number 12, 2023, first reading.
I'll move we put ordinance 1223 on first reading.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Schultz.
Yes.
Blair.
Yes.
Chrisman.
Yes.
Hawk.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Amended ordinance number 12-2023, amending ordinance number 25-2022 by providing supplemental appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Washington Courthouse, Fayette County, Ohio, during fiscal year ending December 31st, 2023.
Ordinance number 13, 2023, first reading.
I move that we place ordinance number 13, 2023 on first reading.
Second.
We'll give it to Ted, how's that?
Got it.
Oh, to Ted? Okay, we'll give it to Ted. And discussion. Roll call.
Schultz.
Yes.
Blair.
Yes.
Chrisman.
Yes.
Hawk.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Ordinance number 13-2023, an ordinance to make appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Washington Courthouse, Fayette County, Ohio, during fiscal year ending December 31st, 2024.
Resolution number R45, 2023, first reading.
I move we place resolution number R45, 2023 on first reading.
I'll second that.
Discussion. Roll call.
Schultz.
Yes.
Blair.
Yes.
Chrisman.
Yes.
Hawk.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Resolution, resolution number
Right.
45, sorry.
It's okay.
Resolution number R45-2023, a resolution confirming Joseph J. Denon, City Manager of the City of Washington Courthouse, reappointment of Mr. George Shoemaker to the Tree Committee for a term concluding December 31st, 2027.
Okay, resolution number R46, 2023, first reading.
I move we place resolution number R46, 2023 on first reading.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Schultz.
Yes.
Blair.
Yes.
Chrisman.
Yes.
Hawk.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Resolution number R46-2023, a resolution confirming Joseph J. Denon, City Manager of the City of Washington Courthouse, reappointment of Mrs. Brenda Cottle to the Tree Committee for the term concluding December 31st, 2027.
Resolution number R47, 2023, first reading.
I'll move we put resolution R47, 2023 on first reading.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Schultz.
Yes.
Blair.
Yes.
Chrisman.
Yes.
Hawk.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Resolution number R47-2023, a resolution confirming Joseph J. Denon, City Manager of the City of Washington Courthouse, reappointment of Mr. Eddie Fisher to the Fayette County Regional Planning Commission for the term concluding December 31st, 2026.
Resolution number R48, 2023, first reading.
I'll move we put resolution R48, 2023 on first reading.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Schultz.
Yes.
Blair.
Yes.
Chrisman.
Yes.
Hawk.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Resolution number R48-2023, a resolution confirming Joseph J. Denon, City Manager of the City of Washington Courthouse, reappointment of Mrs. Mandy Miller to the Fayette County Regional Planning Commission for the term concluding December 31st, 2026.
Resolution number R49, 2023, first reading.
I'll I'll move we put resolution R 49/2023 on first reading.
Second.
Who are we giving it to?
Jim.
Gotcha.
Okay, discussion? Roll call?
Schultz?
Yes.
Blair?
Yes.
Chrisman?
Yes.
Hawk?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Lynch?
Yes.
Resolution number R 49-2023, a resolution confirming Joseph J. Denon, City Manager of the City of Washington Courthouse, reappointment of Mr. Steve Lewis to the Fayette County Regional Planning Commission for the term concluding December 31st, 2026.
Resolution number R 50/2023, first reading.
I move that we place resolution number R 50/2023 on first reading.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Schultz?
Yes.
Blair?
Yes.
Chrisman?
Yes.
Hawk?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Lynch?
Yes.
There's a 51. Oh, I didn't read it. Resolution number R 50-2023, a resolution confirming Mr. Joe Denon, City Manager of the City of Washington Courthouse, appointment of Mr. Branson Moody to the City of Washington Courthouse Board of Zoning Appeals to fulfill an unexpired term for the term expiring December 31st, 2024.
And then we have a resolution number R 51/2023, first reading.
I move that we place resolution number R 51/2023 on first reading.
I'll second that.
Discussion? Roll call?
Schultz?
Yes.
Blair?
Yes.
Chrisman?
Yes.
Hawk?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Lynch?
Yes.
Resolution number R 51-2023, a resolution confirming Mr. Joe Denon, City Manager of the City of Washington Courthouse, appointment of Mrs. Mandy Miller to the City of Washington Courthouse Board of Zoning Appeals to fulfill an unexpired term for the term concluding December 31st, 2025.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
Very good. Okay, miscellaneous, ho, ho, ho. Mr. Johnson, what do you have for us?
I think I'm just gonna wish everyone a Merry Christmas, and that's my gift to y'all.
Mr. Schultz, what's your gift to
You know,
us all?
I'm gonna do the same thing. I know it's not politically correct to say have Merry Christmas, but we're gonna say Merry Christmas to everyone and a Happy New Year. And I hope the new year is great for everybody, so thank you very much.
Mr. Blair?
Well, I would like to ask a question first on the minutes of the city planning commission.
Go for it.
The development of the property at the end of Blackstone. It says he indicated that the public street of Blackstone would connect to Gregg Street, which would eliminate dead-end streets and help loop the water system. Now, how is Blackstone gonna tie into Gregg Street?
You continue it on through. You got the map there with you?
Yeah, but I
It'll
couldn't find
probably
it.
hit Dennis Street before it hits Gregg Street.
Mhm.
He's gonna shoot you.
Okay.
Cause you got the dead end down there now. Where's Patty Jackson at on this?
I could,
You got it.
there's Greg.
Here's the dialysis.
That's dialysis, there's Greg. You come on through and you connect here, right? So you eliminate that.
Oh, you do? Yeah, okay, okay.
Well, you get that, it'll still stop there, but you'll have a way that you just don't stuck there.
Okay.
And that's a little bit confusing when it talks about improving the water system. The street connection didn't have any impact on that, but will take a dead-end water main and basically make it a loop, which sometimes the dead-end main is unavoidable, but what happens is, you don't think of it this way, but that water can just sit on the end of that main and it'll have no place to go. So it just sits there where the water in the rest of the system circulates and Well, you know, if you have water sit in a contained space, like it grows stuff it shouldn't.
Gotcha. Okay, now I'll continue.
Go.
Miscellaneous.
Go
Okay.
right ahead.
Thank you for that explanation, Mr. Dennon. I kind of call this my unsung hometown heroes week.
Okay.
I have been visiting some areas here in town. This week, I went to the Rose Avenue Food Pantry. Spoke with Mike Preston. They have over 100 cars a day, the day that they do it, goes through there to get food. Now, these are people that don't get recognition. You won't see them in the paper, and they're just good, behind-the-scenes citizens. The two gentlemen that spoke today, I met with them at the McNair Center and seen their vision. Just very passionate people. Also went over to Second Chance and spoke with Chiquita and took a tour of that building. That's a very interesting setup there. I spoke with a gentleman, a friend of mine actually, who is housing 2 homeless men in his home. I spoke with Bambi Bond and Community Action. So there's a lot of people. There's also the food pantry, Presbyterian Church does food delivery. There's a couple others that I didn't just found out about. But I just wanted to give a shout out to all those people in our community that are doing things that are under the radar, not getting any remuneration for it. And I'd like to see more of that, and helps bring our community together.
Good.
Then I got a quote here.
Go for it.
Okay? I just ran into this. It says, "Not every person in politics is in it for the money, power, and status. Some are genuinely fighting for the people and their communities. I say, find those folks, then fight with and for them. Teamwork is the key to success." And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank
You're
you.
right, Mr. Blair, because the Presbyterian Church gave out baskets here not too long ago, 258 of them. And the Heritage Church gave out a lot of, I think it was over 200 Heritage Churches gave out. I spoke with a couple of those people, the ministers, and they were telling me about it. So, yeah, so you're right, there is a lot of unsung. And all the people that worked on those programs to hand all that out. That's true. So, good point. You brought up a good point.
Mr. Hogg.
Well, I spent 3 weeks in Honduras, and it was at a farm school. They raised both hogs and cattle. And I stepped in it a few times. And then my wife called me and kind of told me how Jim Blair had kind of stepped in it. And I really felt for him, because I thought he maybe wasn't so smart getting on social media.
Yes.
But well, I think maybe a result of tonight, these two fellows coming might have had a little bit to do with that. But I applaud you, Jim, for facing that. And, you know, you might have made some mistakes, I don't know, but you did have the gumption to do it. And I appreciate that. And when my wife told me it was like 800 dislikes to maybe 15 or 20 likes, I thought, man, that's pretty bad. And then I got home and it was more like 900 by the time I got. And I thought, man, Jim's really getting it. But
It raised awareness, didn't it?
it raised awareness, and I appreciate you doing that.
Thank you, sir.
And I mean that sincerely.
Thank you, Tim.
And I hope that this issue, I don't want a San Francisco or a Los Angeles situation.
Right, right.
And one of the things that really bothers me about homelessness is some of those people have teenage children. And I can't imagine the indignity that they feel among their classmates and so on when they're just really don't have a place to roost, to change clothes, take a bath. And so it is a real issue, and I hope we can all step up and try to help with it. I've offered to help some, and I'm sure everybody that has a chance will. But you know, when you help somebody that's down and out, you're really helping Jesus Christ. And this is Christmas time, and it's a good time to get started doing it for a lot of people in our town, us included. So just thank you, Jim, for
Yes, sir.
doing that. So, and that's all I have.
Mr. Chrisman?
Gee, that stuff's hard to follow. I wish everybody a Merry Christmas though, and I agree with Ted that a lot of people need a lot of help. And a lady that used to work with me used to talk about Courthouse being a welfare place. She was from Clinton County, but she says now that their homelessness situation in Wilmington is much worse than here. Now I go down there once every week or two, but I don't really see that. So, of course, I'm not looking at the bridges either. Somebody might grab me or something, throw me in the creek. Anyway, everybody have a Merry Christmas, and we'll be back to wish you Happy New Year in a week or a couple of weeks. Thank you.
Yes. And Kelly, our special meetings on the
Friday,
22nd,
22nd, at 10:30, before the meal.
before the meal here, yeah. And Sylvia, you got it worked out so you can be sworn in or sworn at, as they say. or-
Sworn at.
Sworn, hopefully not sworn at.
Yeah, I know.
although, you know, it would be the first.
Sworn at.
The kids in Brandon were really hoping to get to go on that Friday, so I was gonna see if I could recuse myself from meeting with you guys, so that way the whole Hobbit family can be there with me.
That's fine.
They stuck through the chicken thing with me, so I figure they may as well.
They did. They were great. Okay, for my gift, I have written a poem.
Oh my.
Christmas in Courthouse by Henry Wadsworth, council member.
Lynch.
'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the city, all the lights were glowing. It was really quite pretty. Chief Fenari was snuggled up in his bed, while arrested criminals danced in his head. Chelsea was happy, with not even a frown. She heard some new businesses were coming to town. Rod was pleased, no more properties to abate. He said, fix up your house before it's too late. Chief Downing was smiling. He had ordered a new truck. He got the best one. The others were out of luck. Mark was resting. City crime was on hold. There's a new judge coming, or so we've been told. Ron's service department had given a big cheer. There's been no snow so far this year. But wait, what's this? Ron has a new hat. He's now finance director, just imagine that. Then there's the city manager, good old Joe D. The budget's done, so he's as happy as can be. Next, there's the council filled with holiday cheer, ready for Christmas and a great new year. Kendra is leaving, but it has been fun. More time to spend with her very active son. Social media is where to find Councilman Jim B. Santa gave an 8th term to Councilman Jim C. Councilman Johnson's in court when the judge says okay. Councilman Schultz tells bad jokes, or that's what I would say.
They're all nearly true.
Councilman Hawk is back from helping the poor. He loves serving people here and on a far distant shore. New Councilwoman Sylvia's time will soon start to ticken. She will bring new ideas and maybe fried chicken. But Lee's one councilman, that is for sure. For writing goofy poems, he really needs a cure. So from all at the city to all out there, Merry Christmas to you and a Happy New Year.
Very good, very good.
I do that for my classes at school.
Sign and date that.
Anyway, we need a motion to adjourn.
Hey, before we adjourn.
Oh, okay.
I got a request.
Yes, sir.
I'm open to suggestions for my wife for Christmas present.
You did this last year too.
He does it every year.
Something useful.
Useful.
Sylvia,
Ted, you bought
Della,
our
you want to give him
lawnmowers
some
and weed eaters.
ideas?
What more could there be?
Give him some ideas,
Nothing
will
you
you?
can plug in. Don't give her anything she can plug in.
Here, give her a lump of coal.
There you go, you've already got it.
Oh, yeah.
That's probably she'll give
I may
you.
regift this stuff if that's all right.
That's fine with me, Ted. See what you need to do.
Oh, my goodness.
Now I said, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Schultz.
Yes.
Blair.
Yes.
Chrisman.
Yes.
Hawk.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes. We are adjourned at 8:38.